Welcome to the Root Cause Revolution podcast with functional and integrative nurse nutritionist and energy medicine practitioner, Audrey Christie.
Hey friends, welcome to episode 258 of the Root Cause Revolution podcast. Today we're talking about hair tissue mineral analysis, or I like to call the minerals and metals test. We're going to talk about why we use it, what it's good for, what symptoms that we might use that test for, and what can it reveal, most importantly. So let's get started. First, though, if you are new here, welcome. I'd like to introduce myself real quick. I am Audrey. I'm a root cause clinician, and I specialize in helping you to stop masking symptoms and start healing for good. From those chronic symptoms that won't go away, autoimmune disease, chronic illness, whether it's diagnosed officially or not. I work with people who have tried it all and still aren't at the level of health and wellness that they desire and deserve. So we work together using a non-traditional approach, including functional and integrative nutrition, functional wellness, naturopathy, and energy medicine. So I specialize in helping you start your own root cause revolution to rebalance your body so it can heal for good. So if you're done with Band-Aids and ready for real solutions, you're in the right place. All right, let's dive in to the minerals and metals test. Oftentimes people know that minerals are good for them and some minerals and metals can be toxic, but I get the question a lot about why a hair analysis test. And it's really interesting because your physical and cognitive abilities can actually be optimized just using the results of a minerals and metals test or a hair tissue minerals analysis. See, we can look at a lot of things in the hair that we can't look at in the blood. Well, we can look at it in the blood, but when we look at it in the blood or in a serum test, we're looking at a snapshot in time. Our blood is the great compensator. So when it notices that we might need a little more sodium or a little less sodium or a little more potassium or a little less potassium or a little more magnesium or a little less, it shuffles those minerals, those micronutrients in and out of our cells, in and out of our tissues at a moment's notice, right? In real time. Hair, on the other hand, as you might notice, it grows out of your head. And then once it's out of your head, it's not really receiving circulation beyond the root. So it makes it really nice and easy, number one, to sample, right? Because it can be done painlessly. There's no needles. You can do it at home. And the hair sample can be sent to the lab without any special handling requirements. But clinically, a properly obtained sample can give a really good indication of mineral status and toxic metal accumulation, whether you've had an acute exposure or a chronic exposure. This is one of the reasons why this type of test is so much better at balancing biochemistry, because it tells us more than what happened just in the last 12 to 24 hours. It tells us what's been going on for the last roughly 3 to 4 months. Now, a hair tissue mineral analysis test, or the minerals and metals test, is a really simple test, like I said, that you can do at home. And it's for almost anyone. If you are experiencing thin hair or hair loss, then this test is for you. If you experience brain fog or forgetfulness, then this test is for you. If you get frequent headaches or migraines, this test is for you, right? If you have metabolism issues, so you feel like your metabolism is too fast or too slow, if you have an intolerance to cold, if you are having any suspected thyroid issues or any of the symptoms that go along with it, regardless of what your thyroid labs, your blood labs said, if you're chronically tired or you have a hard time waking up in the morning, if you have pain anywhere in the body, joints and muscle pain, particularly if you suspect or have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, this is definitely a great test to get you pointed in the right direction to find your root cause and heal it. And then if you have any digestive disorders, acid reflux, constipation, diarrhea, parasites, all of these things and many, many other things can be issues, symptoms, conditions that occur as a result of some sort of mineral imbalance or some sort of toxic accumulation of an element, of a metal, right? So there's lots of things, I was going to say a few things, but there's lots of things that we can tell from this simple test, which is why I most often recommend this be the test that you start with in functional medicine. There are a lot of things that we can tell by reviewing your blood labs. There's a lot of things that we can tell by talking about symptoms, but sometimes it's better to test instead of guess what could be going on, particularly when we're looking at adding supplementation. Which supplement are we going to start with? We often need to see what our starting point is. So from your hair mineral analysis, your minerals and metals test, we can get a really good picture of body chemistry over a long period of time. We can see, of course, heavy metal toxicity and mineral deficiencies and imbalances, right? That's in the name. We can also see your metabolic rate, whether it's fast or slow. We can get a picture of how your adrenals are doing. So your adrenal glands, they work under levels of stress, so we can check on adrenal fatigue at a more reliable level versus, did you have a stressful morning the morning that you got your labs done, or a stressful night the night before, or is this a chronic issue? We can look at thyroid function. We can see nervous system imbalances. So we're looking at things like if you have anxiety as a symptom, if you think you might have ADHD, then we can do this test and see some of those nervous system imbalances. We can see protein synthesis, which is really, really important, answering that age-old question, am I eating enough protein? We can see inflammation levels and energy levels. We can look at liver, kidney, stress. We can see some insight to mental health issues. We can look at carbohydrate tolerance and blood sugar imbalance from just this hair minerals and metals test. And we can even see how your body is able to digest and absorb nutrients. You see, minerals are the spark plugs of life, if you will. They are involved in almost every reaction in the body, every enzymatic reaction. And so it's really one of the foundations of wellness, is having ideal mineral ratios. Everything else works better. Everything else works in an optimal state when your minerals are balanced, when you're not carrying excess metal load with that. Most often in these results, the type of toxicities I see are some sort of copper dysregulation or copper imbalance. We find that a lot on hair tests, and it can contribute to things like cancer and weight gain and fatigue and PMS and fibroids and endometriosis and ovarian cysts and infertility and depression and anxiety and migraines and allergies and ADHD and learning disorders and all kinds of things, right? Anyone who is vegetarian or vegan has had adrenal fatigue, has taken birth control pills, has used a copper IUD or hormone replacement therapy, often suffers copper dysregulation. And so we can look at that and see how to remedy that. Mercury is another one that we see a lot in the common toxicities on the hair tissue mineral analysis test. And you can see, that is can be part of a root cause for adrenal dysfunction, thyroid, depression, dizziness, fatigue, headaches, insomnia, gut dysbiosis, memory loss, mood swings, numbness, tingling, muscle weakness, all these things. And then another one that we see a really high level of is another common one that we see at toxic levels is aluminum. And, you think of aluminum as being like in your deodorant, but when it collects in the body, then we can find that to be part of the root cause for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, fatigue, and lots of other dysfunction. So I find that the hair mineral test is a test to do every single year, whether you're having symptoms or not, because often we can catch things before they get to the level where you're having symptoms. And if you are having symptoms and you've had regular labs done and your doctor said that nothing's wrong and all of these things, then I implore you to get a minerals and metals test as a starting point on your health and wellness journey. I'll put a link in the show notes on how you can get a minerals and metals test shipped directly to you. You submit it, and then it comes, of course, with an appointment, so you know what to do with those results. I'll have that linked up right here in the app that you're listening to this podcast in. Now, we've talked about what happens or what some of the common things are that we see happening with this minerals and metals test. It's also really common for people who have high blood pressure to have a metal toxicity. Generally, it's barium, but not always. And we can do a really simple, really quick heavy metal detox and get you going again, get you off of your blood pressure medication in most cases, and get you moving forward with your life without all of the risk that comes with high blood pressure. And that's just a few of the examples. When we get those test results back, we can start to look at all the root causes that could be leading to you not having the picture of wellness that you desire and deserve. So hopefully this gives you some insight into the reason why we use something like the hair minerals analysis or the minerals and metals test. As always, let me know if you have any questions. I'll have that linked up in the show notes as well. And remember, friends, that I am always rooting for you. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Root Cause Revolution podcast. Be sure and subscribe on your favorite podcast provider. Ratings and reviews are always appreciated.